welcome to Books Unbound, the podcast where we unbind books to get to their hearts with your hosts, us. It's Ariel and
Raylene. Hello.
Hola.
We're here again. My nose is itchy.
We have spent the day with admin. It's been an administrative day
really
for Raylene and me.
Yes.
So how about we tell the people what we've been up to? How about you give us a start since yours is cuter?
Yeah, so the whole reason we're recording a few hours later than usual, basically. It's like 3 hours later than we usually start at, so it's like, we'll see what this different energy is. Usually, like, we record in the morning or at night. There isn't usually like I guess it's kind of night for you. But anyway, long story short, I had to take my cats to the vet today just for a little checkup. Willow needed to get some more shots because she's over a year old now, and Simon is an old man cat. He's not that old yet, but he is 8, and it's just been a while since he went to the vet. So we were like, let's take him in just to get him checked out, get all his weird little skin tags and things looked at. And so we went. Both cats are totally fine. Simon just has to get some dental work done soon, so that's going to be expensive and fun, but it is what it is. They're both healthy, they're both happy, they both hate going to the vet, so I'm glad that it's over and done with. And so now they're all cute and sleepy, especially Willow, because she got 3 vaccines today, 1 in each leg, and then 1 in in her back, so she's zonked out right now.
That's cute, though. Yeah, I like that. I'm seeing that I've got some serious glare here, so I'm going to try and lower these shades of... Oh, God, I attacked the camera. I hit the camera. Apologies to everyone watching the video version. You've been attacked from all directions. Yeah, I'm glad that the cats are okay, because yesterday, or whenever you told me that you were going to the vet, you mentioned the skin tags, and I was like, that's it.
It's all over for Simon.
I'm stressed now, and then it all was fine. So life is good again.
Yeah, we're fine. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, we're fine. Everyone's happy. Well, my administrative nightmare was that I had to get my passport renewed. This is funny because you also had to get your passport renewed this year, right?
And it was also a bit of a fiasco, just about. It was a narrowly avoided disaster.
Yes, you had... Actually, you're right. Neither of us have had very good experiences with this. If people go back, I don't know, many episodes, you dropped your passport photos.
Yeah, I had to run back home because I forgot a document. And as I was running back to my car, I dropped my photo on the ground. And I only happened to see them as I was walking back. And when I left and came back, I parked in the exact same spot, luckily. And so I walked the same path, and I was like, huh, how strange. Yeah, could have been really bad.
That's insane. Like, the likelihood that it didn't just blow away.
I know. It's because it was slightly damp. It had rained the day before, and luckily the photos didn't get wet. That was the other thing. Like, the envelope was wet, and I was like, oh no. But it was all fine.
That's so crazy. I still just find that nuts.
It is nuts. Because it was also like, I want to say it was like the week before we were dyeing our hair or something. Because I was kind of in a desperate like haze, like trying to get it all done before that. And if I hadn't, I would have just looked like this on my passport. And that would have been fun.
I remember that I was like going to travel soon. And so I was like, I don't have time to do my passport because when your passport is being renewed, they, like, make your old passport void.
Right.
And so I was like, I don't have time to do it now before our hair gets dyed.
Yeah.
And to still go on my trip and get the passport in time. So I was like, it's fine. I'll just do it later. I'll have red hair in the passport photo for the next 10 years.
Yeah, scary stuff. We're going to be so 40. We're going to be so almost 40 when we have to renew them again.
I'm going to be dealing with this peach hair till I'm 39. The implications are huge. But yeah, so I was just like, okay, it's time for me to get my passport redone. And I'm going on a trip in September that I need my passport for. And when I realized, like, oh, it's going to take a few weeks, it was like the end of July or something, and I wrote it on my to-do list. Finally, I was like, I got to get this done. So I went online, and it said, you're allowed to apply for your passport as long as the trip you're going to be taking is more than 5 weeks away.
Right.
And I was like, okay, great. So I made an appointment. I went into the department, and they were like, when is the time that you have to travel? And I said the date, and they're like, that's less than 5 weeks away. And I was like, well, sure, from today, but it's not, it was like by one day. Yeah. But it's not from when I booked the appointment, which is what the website said.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, no, it has to be from today. And I'm like, but that's not what the website said. The website said, like, from the day you were booking the appointment, from today, how many business days. Right. And I literally remember counting on removing holidays just to make double sure. And she was like, we can't see you today. And I was like, well, I have an appointment.
But I'm here.
And she was like, it just won't work. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, they just don't care.
Okay, thankfully this was like a rural office. This was not Halifax, so I hadn't waited for long. Yeah. I actually showed up early to my appointment, and she thankfully was able to like look at everything early, so I didn't even wait for my own appointment.
Yeah.
And she was like, the only thing you can do is go to Halifax.
Damn.
It's just so funny. It's just so funny to me. Like, it really is the big city. Like, that's where they can... So she was like, they can do passports in 3 weeks. And I'm like, what the hell is the difference? Like, this is such a stupid administrative, Kafka-esque, ridiculous stupidity, because it isn't... Like, the passports don't get printed here. The people here aren't doing anything faster.
All they have to do is send it.
Yes. Yeah. In Halifax, they're not doing anything different than they're doing in, like, another town in Nova Scotia. And so I looked it up. Passports are printed in Quebec. So everyone is mailing them to Quebec anyway. So I don't understand why, but they're like, no, well, we can't get it to them in time. And I'm like, we have FedEx. Like, we've got everything that the big city has. Oh my God, it's just one of those ridiculous things. And it's also funny because really, like, this was last week that they said no to me.
Right.
Even, so I had to wait another almost week before I could come to Halifax, and still this is faster than them just doing it. Oh, geez.
It's so I was crazy.
Like, bureaucracy. But at least my photos turned out cute.
Yeah,
that was important.
Good. You look good. The hair looks good.
And I was like, at least the photos are good. Yeah, the hair looked cute, and it's red. It is more red than orange or peach.
It almost looks like burgundy-esque in the photo, because passport photos kind of darken your hair a lot. Like, my hair always looks black in my photos for some reason, even though my hair's like a medium brown. So that worked out for you. You just got like sultry dark red hair.
It worked out in my favor. Yeah. But yeah, I was like, okay, so today I'm in Halifax. Tomorrow I'm going on a different trip.
Oh my goodness.
Tomorrow morning I fly to Toronto to visit Connor's family for the summer, for our little summer trip, and he has a work conference that we have to go to. So I knew that I would be going tomorrow, so we'd come to Halifax today. So I was like, instead of going in the evening and sleeping overnight so that we can make our early flight, how about we go in the morning and then I can go to this passport appointment, right? So what happened was I got to the passport office. I had all of my application ready and done, and the photos and everything I knew I was ready. The guy that checked me in was like, we have really long wait times today. I was like, oh, okay. Like, how long? He was like, it's probably in excess of an hour. And I was like, yikes. Okay. Well, oh well. Like, it is what it is.
That's what happens
I've got
when
to
you
get
don't have
it
an appointment.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. The lady at the rural office, she was like, just so you know, you won't be able to get an appointment in Halifax. I was like, okay. She was like, you're just going to have to do a walk-in. And I'm like,
dang.
Okay. And I did try to get an appointment just in case. And
what time did you get there at?
I got there at 11:53.
Ooh.
Well, that's when I was checked in at 11:53, right? And so I they printed my little number, R041.
You'll never forget.
And I sat down, and I instantly knew I'd made a series of large mistakes. Okay? I was feeling quite, not frazzled, I was just feeling like quite, tired, really is the word, that morning, and I'd been trying to do a bunch of other things, and we finally got to Halifax, and I dropped Connor off because he had to get on the computer to do his meeting, and now I'm driving to the passport office, like a whole thing. Finally, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I made it to the appointment. And I look, and the board is at R028. And I'm like, damn, that's a lot, actually, between me and that. And it's also worrying because there's a lot of other numbers.
Yeah, like that's not the only type of appointment they're going through.
No. There's Y010 and PT0040 and like a lot of, so clearly not everyone who's working in this passport office is doing passport renewals. Yeah. And so there's a lot of other things, and I could see some people had like permanent resident card applications and stuff. So I was like, okay, so this is just a mecca of admin. That's fine. I just have to wait my turn. Mistake number one is I was so hungry.
Oh no.
Because it was right before lunch, right? And I was like, I didn't have time to eat on the way, and I didn't have time. I was like, she said I need to get there in the morning or else I might not get it seen. And so I was like, I've just got to get there as soon as I can. So I didn't have time to eat. And I was so hungry. I just kept thinking about food. Aww. And then the second thing was I forgot my book. I just, I left it in the car. I left it in the car in the parking lot, in the parking garage. And I was sitting there. And it's just one of those hellscapes where you know it's going to be hours. Yeah. But you don't feel like you can leave. And I could have. Right? I could have walked to my car, gotten the book, and come back. But I didn't feel what if they called me and I missed it?
Yeah, you always have that fear. Even though it's like, I'll probably be sitting here for at least an hour, but that 5 minutes I walk away, it could be the moment.
It could be disastrous. So you're gonna,
I hear you.
And then the third thing was that my phone was lower on battery. It was at 34% or something like that. Because I'd used GPS to get to Halifax and get to the passport office, so it'd been running for a few hours, and I was just like, okay. Well, all I can do is really remain calm.
Keep calm and carry on, really, is all you could do.
Yeah. Just to sit here and relax. And so I pulled up my book on Libby, on my phone app, and I just turned my brightness all the way down, and I canceled out of all of my apps, and I will be, I'm honored to say that by the time that I left the passport office, I was at 15%. So, It wasn't too bad. I finally got called. It felt surreal when it was finally my turn. Like I didn't actually believe that could happen. I didn't think that it would be my time ever. And it was just so funny because we were all sitting there for so long that when someone would get up, we all felt proud of them. You know, we're all like, another one gets to go free. Yeah. Like you did your time, you deserve to go, kind of a thing. I finally go and I sit down, and the guy there was really, really nice. He was very friendly, and he was like, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm so hungry. And he laughed, and he was like, how long have you been waiting? I said, and I looked at the clock behind him. I said, 2 hours and 41 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, oh my God, don't worry, we'll get you done really quick. I was like, it's okay. At that point, whatever.
Yeah. This is my life now.
Now I just live here. It was almost 3. The appointment itself is hilarious, really. It took less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, I remember mine was like that too. It's just double checking information, scan, put it in a bag, bye.
Yeah, they did put it in a Ziploc bag for some reason, which is pretty funny. Yeah, it looked like a special kind of a Ziploc bag, though. Yes. And then I paid the money. It was $180 for anyone who's curious. I paid an extra $20 to get it a little faster, just to make sure, because otherwise I'd be right up against my deadline. So I was like, I'll pay the extra money to slightly express it. And he said, if there's anything wrong with the application, we'll let you know. And I was like, what do you mean?
He's supposed to look at it right there and then.
I know.
That's kind of the whole point.
Exactly. And he did. I think he did everything right. But at the same time, he was...
You're like, after all that, if it's not, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, what the hell would happen? I was crazy. Anyway, I left it like a defeated woman. But I also just felt so calm. I cannot emphasize enough how calm I felt the entire time. I was just, resigned to it. It is what it is.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do. And then as I left, I walked past Five Guys. And I was like, yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah. So I had lunch at Five Guys, and I tried their veggie sandwich.
Oh. And?
I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible, and in a pinch I would have it again, but it also wasn't amazing. Basically, it's like having a Five Guys burger, but without the meat. Like, it has, it has cheese, and it has grilled mushrooms, and grilled onion, and lettuce, and tomato, but the same buns, and the same, so it was all, like, done the exact same way, they just didn't put the meat in it.
Oh.
And I'm like...
That's a lazy sandwich.
It's a lazy sandwich. It's a lazy sandwich, so, the fries were really good, and, yeah.
Well,
and that was my adventure. I don't know if I'm happy for me, but you know what? It's done, and hopefully I'll get my passport and everything will be fine.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I kind of had a busy weekend, and I'm going to be setting myself up for a pretty busy week here. So what happened is on Friday, my friends and I had our next Sabbath celebration. It was Lammas, which we were a little bit late on. August 1st is when it actually was, but Julia was traveling, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we did it on Friday night, and it was so fun. So I mentioned last week that I was going to be making cornbread. This was what I made cornbread for, because it's kind of like a harvest festival. So I was like, I want to do something with corn. And so it didn't actually involve corn at all, turns out. It's just cornmeal. But cornbread, it was fun to make. I had to like toast the cornmeal in the pan, and then I had to like mix it with some other things, and then kind of put it into like a cast iron skillet and put it in the oven. So that was a fun way to make bread. Cool. It was a little bit different, and I would say it was pretty good. It wasn't the most flavorful cornbread. I'm used to like sweet cornbread, and so it was a little bit not like that. And so I've just been smothering it in like goat cheese and honey and stuff, and it's delicious. But anyway, our event was really fun. It was just very chill. We like sat outside, had our usual picnic. But what I made this time that was kind of fun too was a cucumber mint sorbet, which I had never done before. And I just want to tell everyone how to do it. It's very, very easy. You just chop up a few cucumbers, throw that in a blender, throw in a big old handful of mint. I juiced like 3 or 4 limes, put all the juice in there, a little bit of sugar. You just blend it and then put it through a like sieve or whatever, like get all the chunks out of it, and then just put it in the freezer, and you just stir it like every hour and then every half hour once it gets a little bit more frozen, and then you've got a slush, and it's amazing. And it was so good.
Wow.
So that was my like refreshing little summer thing that I made.
That sounds really refreshing.
It was really good. And then we like to do a craft when we get together for these nights. And usually Julia is the one who kind of orchestrates the crafts because she's the craftiest person. And this time we made wire wrapped crystal rings, which was really fun. So I'm wearing one now that I made. I made 2 rings, and they're just like, it's a little fluorite bead. So she had a few different colors and then like 3 different types of wire that we could use. And I whipped this up in like 5 to 10 minutes. It was very easy and very fun. So that was a cool thing that I did as well. So I felt like, I don't know, was having a good little late summer vibe going on, and I really loved it. But then what else was fun about this weekend is that yesterday was mine and Kyle's anniversary. Kind of our like double anniversary. It's like the anniversary of the day we met is the same day that we got married, which we didn't realize until later, but that is cute. That is the truth. And so it was our like 2-year/11-year anniversary yesterday, which was really fun. And so we like went out for breakfast, we got pedicures, then we went out for dinner, and we just kind of like played games and kind of had a chill night. So that was yesterday, but like we have this whole week off. Like we're on vacation this week, but we're not going anywhere. We were hoping to go away and do something, but it just didn't really work out that way. So we're just doing a staycation. And so every day we kind of have something planned. So like we want to go for a hike. We want to go to the beach. We want to go out to Vancouver, have a city day. We want to go to the drive-in movie theater. Like there's lots of things I want to do. So we'll see next week when we record what I'm actually able to accomplish. But my goal is to just like do activities, but be very calm and chill and maybe go read outside. So I'm looking forward to that a lot because I feel like life has been very busy lately. So I just want to like unwind a little, have a little vacation. I haven't had a week off since Christmas.
Wow.
I'm pretty excited. I'm like, I always forget to take holidays. That's something that I do.
If you don't use your holidays, do they roll to the next year?
Yes, I think you have to use them within 2 years of getting them, though. Like, basically how it works at my work is every month I accrue a vacation day. Like, because I get 12 per year because I only work 4 days a week, so I get 12 days of vacation.
Okay.
And so every month,
Gotcha.
at the end of the month, it's like, boom, you've got another vacation day. Boom, you've got another vacation day. So I've been kind of saving mine since last year. So I have enough to like cover this week off. I've got a week off next month and then a week off in November. Actually, I have like a week off kind of, it's all in the fall. I always forget to take vacations until the end of the year. But
That's
yeah.
funny.
So yeah, so if I weren't to use them, they would carry over, but you have to use them up within 2 years. So you can only have a maximum of like a few weeks or whatever. I don't know.
That's very interesting. It would be awesome if someone like didn't. I mean, it wouldn't be awesome.
No,
but it
it
would be
sucks.
interesting if somebody didn't take their time off for like 4 years and then they took off like 4 months.
Yeah, that would be insane, and that's why they don't let you do that, because that would
Yeah.
be crazy. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, we have to hire someone because you're going on vacation. Like, that'd be madness.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'm glad that you had a nice, I don't know what to call them, pagan day with your buddies, and that now you're kind of starting into your week off. That's lovely.
It's pretty exciting. Yeah. So after we're done recording today, I'm like, I'm free. No work to do. Nowhere I have to be. No appointments, because like there was also the vet appointment today, so I feel like today was kind of like an admin day. But we don't have anything else that like has to be done for the next week, which I'm so excited about.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, my week was eventful, very busy, and tragic. So I had a miniature truck disaster.
Oh, God.
And because I'm chronicling the journey with you guys here, I'm going to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about it briefly because it is just sad. So, as you guys know, I had that mechanical issue on my way to my first event.
Yeah.
But I was still able to make it there and everything worked out. And I've been able to make every event that I said I would make, right? Like, one of them got postponed because of rain, but it just got moved and it happened. And one of them, I was scared I wouldn't make it because the thing happened, like it wouldn't start, but then it started and I got there. So things have worked out. But then yesterday, I was supposed to go to a farmer's market. I was on the highway and it died. It died on the highway. Thankfully, it's like rural Nova Scotia is not like a slammed highway place to be. I very gently just rolled onto the shoulder and I was super safe and it wasn't busy or anything. So, it was not dangerous. I mean, I guess it could have been dangerous, but it wasn't dangerous.
Yeah.
Nothing bad happened. I rolled over onto the shoulder and I got out of the car or the truck and I was just like, okay, so the first thing I need to do is, message the event and tell them that I can't make it. Then the next thing I need to do is post on Instagram because I was scared that people were going to come out.
Yeah, that's awful.
Right? And I was early because I was on my way to set up for the event, so there was still a little bit of notice, but I felt terrible because I never want people to come all the way to an event and then I'm not there. So I posted on Instagram from the side of, I hadn't even called a tow truck yet. I was just like, I just need to tell everyone on Instagram and I need to tell the organizers of the event that I'm really sorry that the truck is broken down and that I'm not going to make it. So once I had done those two things and posted about it online, I then called a tow truck and explained where I was and they were able to come get me, and thankfully they were like very close by. So I was probably only on the side of the road in total for like half an hour.
Not bad.
It really was not that bad from like the truck dying to the tow truck getting me. And then the tow truck took me back home and like dropped off my truck at a mechanic and then dropped me off at home. And then me and Connor and our friend who was with us and my brother, we went to the beach because we were like, there's nothing that we can do. It's a Sunday. Like, the mechanic is not here. It's not open. And there's no way that we can do anything about the truck. And if we just stay home, all we're going to do is, I'm just going to be sad. So we were like, let's just go to the beach and try and have fun because it's a sunny Sunday. So we went to the beach and it was fun, but I was so sad.
Yeah, it's been a while since you had an event. This was going to be like a cool one too.
Exactly. I was really, really looking forward to it. I had a bunch of new books that I'd gotten that weren't for this event specifically, but just like new books that I've gotten for the truck. And, I'd taken a few weeks off to kind of like chill, but I was feeling like ready and excited to do it. And so I was just really looking forward to it. And it just, so not only was it like immediately sad because it's like, oh God, I don't get to do this event that I wanted to do. But now I'm just really worried about the truck as well. The mechanic is away on vacation, and I hope he has the best time. Like, I'm not in any way upset with him. Like, it's not his job to be there whenever the truck breaks down, right? So I hope he has the best time ever. And he told me that he's going to the Toronto Aquarium with his kids, and I, like, freaked out because I love that aquarium.
Have a good time, sir.
Like, it's, like, the best time. So I hope that he has a great time. But he's not going to be able to look at the truck until, like, the end of this week.
Oh, my gosh.
And then it'll be, like, if it's something simple-ish, okay, maybe he'll be able to fix it. But if it's not, and if we have to order parts, and if it's complicated, or if it's really expensive, like, now I'm in this waiting period of, like, but I have all these things I want to do with the truck, and now I don't know if I can do them. So, yeah, so that... Listen, I have a friend who used to run a bookmobile, actually.
Oh.
Out of an Airstream. Do you know those?
Oh, yeah.
Those beautiful giant camper van things. She ran one of those in, I think it was in California. And I was talking to her, and she was like, Ariel, I need you to know that having your bookmobile break down is part of having a bookmobile.
Yeah.
She was like, that is, she's like, I cannot explain to you how many times we had to be towed, how many times we had to move the location of the event to just be like, come find us where we broke down, or whatever, like, pivot or find other ways to pull it or whatever. Yeah. And so that was very comforting because and my brother said to me something that was really, really kind, but he was like, I know that you're really upset about this, and it is really sad that this is happening, but the reason this is happening is because you're doing something awesome. Like, the alternative to this would be, I never even tried to do the book truck.
Yeah,
and so nothing went wrong because there's no book truck.
Because you didn't try. But the fact that you
didn't even try.
And you've done some cool events. Like, you have been successful so far. It's not like...
Yeah, it is.
It's been, like, lose after lose after lose. Like, you have had wins as well. No, this is, like,
totally. Yeah. I think you're right. And so... I was sad. I am sad about it.
Of course.
But I'm just going to be hopeful, and I'm just going to start brainstorming, like, ways that I can pivot or things that I can do to, like, I don't want to let anyone down. That's, like, a huge weight on me right now where I'm like, I've said that I would do certain events, and, like, now I don't know if I can do them, and so I'm really worried about that, and so I'm trying to think of other ways that I could still do those, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm, like, really trying to think. But it's also sad because I don't want to think. I don't want to have to think of an alternative solution. Yeah. I want it to just work. Yeah. But that's what I get for not being a mechanic, I guess. I should have taken...
Yeah, I mean, that's the risk you take with buying a used vehicle that's, you know, how old is it? Do you know when he was born?
Yeah, he was born in 1992.
Aw, he's older than us. Aw, that's cute.
Yeah, he's like our brother. He's 2 years older.
He's our older brother.
He's our older brother.
Little Bobo.
Yeah, so that's my little update. It's a sad update, but I know it's all part of the journey, and I know that, like, I will fix it. It'll get fixed. I'll figure it out, and then I'll be back on the road. I'll do a couple more events, and it'll all just be a part of the whole adventure.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe you just need to get a tow truck driver on speed dial. He could be like your hookup. Be like, it happened again. Help.
I think I need a trailer.
Yeah, like something that you can just load it onto and you don't ever have to make him drive more than he needs to. I think that's the secret.
Yeah. Because the thing is, guys, up to 70 kilometers an hour, happiest truck in the world. Yeah. He's so content. He has no problems. Okay. Everything runs smooth and wonderful. It's when I push him above 70. Yeah. Which you have to on the highway,
yeah,
right?
You do. You can't go that slow.
No, you can't go that slow. And so I'll push him up to 80, which is, like, you're allowed to go 80 for as long as you want on the highway. But even at 80, sometimes you go down a hill and you go back up to 90, or you're trying to, stay with the rate of traffic. And so pushing, it's especially with these hills and going that fast, that it just, he overheated, is what happened. Yeah. He overheated. So anyways, I'm like, maybe if I had a trailer so that I could pull him to, like, the next town, and then load him off and drive him around the town, or something like that. But the thing is, like, I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago or whatever. I need to find a trailer that can take the weight of the trailer, the miniature truck, and my Jeep. Like, there's like math.
It all has to work, yeah.
It all has to work. So, anyways, I'll keep thinking. I'll keep brainstorming. I have lots of ideas for if it turns out that, like, for my next event, I can't actually bring the truck. I can still be a bookstore without the actual truck.
Yeah, you'll find a way.
What would that look like?
Yeah.
So there are things, I've got ideas, but it's just been... I don't even know how to finish that sentence. It's just been a whole goddamn thing. So that happened to me yesterday, and then today I spent 3 hours at the passport office.
Oh, man.
I'm about ready to give up.
Let her sleep. At this point, you just want to sleep for a year, don't you?
I do, actually. I wouldn't mind a year of rest and relaxation.
She needs a little R&R.
This really is what you get for trying to do big things.
It's true.
It's big failures, too.
Yeah.
And so it's just, like, ups and downs, but, like, what the alternative truly is not trying big things.
Yeah.
That's
and ultimately,
not anything.
Everyone is proud of you for doing this. Everybody I've told about the mini truck, they're like, what? Your friend is so cool. Like, what do you mean she's doing that? And I'm like, I know. That's nice. She's cool.
Me and my little truck. I'll figure it out.
Well, thanks for the update.
Yeah, you know what another option could be?
What's that?
I don't love this option.
Okay.
But another option could be, like, renting a storage unit.
Ooh.
In Halifax.
Yeah, so he can just live there.
And he can just live in Halifax, and I can just buzz around Halifax doing events.
Like, yeah, I feel like the problem is, like, every time you have to go on the highway. And that's... Yeah. We don't want that. He's too fragile. He's too
fragile right now. But maybe we can... But that's the other thing. I'm like, maybe we can figure out how to make him not as fragile.
Right. Beef him up.
You're catching me thinking live, which is a mistake. Because that's just me, like, being like, but wait, imagine it being Raylene, where I constantly am like, but what if this? And then I just give her another idea, and she's like,
Some yes, some maybe no.
Often they lead to good things, though.
They do. They do.
Anyways, all right, let's talk about books. All right, books, reading, literature. Am I right?
Am I right? Yes, you're correct. Let's
talk about what we finished this week. I think we had a sporty week.
We did.
Did we have a sporty week?
We did. I didn't finish anything, but everything I'm going to talk about today is a sports book, so...
Cool. Let's do it. How about you start us off? Okay, yeah. Start us off. You didn't finish your book, but whatever.
I haven't finished just because life has been busy, like I say, but I'm definitely going to finish this week. So what I'm reading is Little Girls in Pretty Boxes, The Making and Breaking of Elite Gymnasts and Figure Skaters by Joan Ryan. So this is the book. Last week, I kind of had a few books that I teased I might read, and then immediately after we finished recording, Ariel was like, I'm going to read a sports book next, and I was like, you know what? So will I. You know what? That's a good idea. So I am just over halfway through this right now. I've been reading it just little bits here and there throughout the week, and I'm absolutely loving it. Like, yay! Loving it. So this is, like I mentioned, it's one of the books I put on my 24 and 24 TBR because I have really wanted to get this book for a while, and then I happened to find it at a thrift store a couple of years ago and could not believe my eyes. I was like, this is so random. And what's also cool about the copy that I got is this book was originally published in 1995, and then it was reissued with a new introduction in 2000, and then it was reissued again with another new introduction in 2018. So it's been updated a few times because it came out in 1995, and a lot of things have happened in the world of gymnastics since then.
Of course.
So in 2000, there was a new introduction because some things were kind of changing, and the author was like optimistic that things were going to like get better in the world of gymnastics, and they kind of didn't. Like the things that were a problem at that time just continued to be a problem. And then the 2018 one was released because that was kind of after all of the big scandal with the horrible doctor who I don't even want to name because he's not worth it. All of that stuff happened, and so they released another new introduction that kind of goes over that a little bit. So it's now updated to a point that I think, like, if you read it, it's like, okay, because all that stuff isn't really mentioned in the book because it hadn't come to light yet. So it was nice that they added an introduction, so it's still being acknowledged, even though it's not really talked about in the book. But anyways, so what the book is mostly about, it does focus a lot lot on gymnastics, more so than figure skating, which I do like because I'm more interested in the gymnastics side of things, but I'm also interested in both. So what I've read so far, like it's sort of split up into like 6 or 7 different chapters. And the first chapter, it kind of focuses on injuries in the sport of gymnastics, because people get injured a lot in gymnastics. Like that's a huge thing that happens. But the problem with it is that they're forced to keep practicing and keep competing with all these injuries, because it's like, if you don't, you'll be kicked out. Like someone else will take your place. Like it's so competitive, the world of elite gymnastics. Like people are trying to get to the Olympics. People are trying to win world championships. And so it just like kind of goes over how toxic. I mean, everything about this book is kind of talking about like the toxicity within the gymnastics world, which I find so interesting, because it's like, what you see is like, wow, grace, beauty, strength. It's all wonderful to watch. But like what goes into it is so hard and so like tragic sometimes. And so there was also a lot about, there's probably been a few deaths in gymnastics, but there was one that was kind of outlined in this book. And like, it was horrible what happened. It was like, it's just scary. And so that was one chapter. There was another chapter about eating disorders. So I would want to say, like, to people wanting to read this book, there is a lot of, like, triggering stuff in there, especially if you have anything around eating disorders. So just a warning about that. But it is so interesting. And now that it's obviously 2024 now, it's different now, I'm sure. But I would love to read, like, a more modern gymnastics book to see, like, where are things at today in our world today. But it's like a tough book, you know. It's not like fun, nothing about it is fun, but it is like very interesting, and I'm really enjoying it. So
that's
I'm
cool.
I mean,
I know that you loved the Nadia one. Nadia Comaneci. She was the first gymnast to ever get a perfect 10 in gymnastics. So that was really cool. So she's like a legend. And this book, like, because it came out in the 90s, it does talk a lot about like the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Like it kind of, that time period is like the main focus. And so they talk about how things have changed and like how body types have like changed. Like when people were in the 70s, people were older and like taller and maybe weighed a bit more, had more muscle. And then it started like in the 70s after Nadia won that, like she got gold for that. Obviously. And after that happened, she was like this tiny little 14-year-old. And so it kind of started to change the world of gymnastics a little bit, like just other people who were also succeeding at that time. It's just all very interesting. Just like the history. This really is like a history of gymnastics and all of its flaws. So I'm finding it very fascinating. Awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. I love that because you're very interested in gymnastics and everything, but this is going to give you kind of that background knowledge so that all of it's even more impactful.
Exactly. Like I am learning a lot of gymnast names and stuff, like I'm learning about people that I didn't really know. Like I've heard their names before, but I didn't really know like what their deal was, and so I'm kind of learning about those people. Now there's like, I've added probably about 12 different memoirs to my reading list, because there are a lot, like all of these huge gymnasts have all written memoirs, and now I'm like, oh god, I just want to read only books about gymnastics from now on.
That's cool.
But it's great. That. It's great. I'm really happy to be in this little gymnastics world. Well, I can.
Well, shall I tell you about my sports book?
Please.
This week I finished Western Lane by Chetna Maru. Chetna Maru lives in London. Her stories have been published in the Paris Review, the Stinging Fly, and the Dublin Review. She was a recipient of the Paris Review's 2022 Plimpton Prize for Fiction. Western Lane was shortlisted for the 2023 Booker Prize and longlisted for the 2024 Women's Prize for Fiction. It came out in 2023. So this is one that I started talking about on the podcast a couple of months ago. I remember I picked it up in one of the bookshops that I've visited in my many bookshop visitations. I visited this one, I visited that shop and I got this book because I heard... I forget who. I mean, it was you, I think, that told me about it originally.
Yeah, I was looking at sports books one time.
Yeah, I've seen it online somewhere as well, and I think the cover is great.
Yeah,
like
awesome.
The little squash ball imprint and the girls running around. It's awesome. And it just ticks so many of my boxes. It's like about sports, it's literary fiction, it's short, it's like 150 pages, and God. I thought it sounded cool. So I gave it a shot. And so I started it a while ago, and then I put it down, and then I read another big chunk of it a couple weeks ago, and then I put it down. And then I read another like 40% of it or something at the passport office.
Right. It was the book. I was wondering if that's what you were reading.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, let's try and finish this thing. And then I came home and finished it. So it was fantastic. So,
nice.
Okay, let's talk about what it's about first. It's about, her name is Gopi. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce it, but I think Gopi. And she's 11 years old, and her mother has passed away. Living in her house is her dad, who's now in charge of them, and the 3 daughters. And she's the youngest daughter. And so the dad a little bit doesn't know what to do. Like, their mom just died. He's like now the sole caregiver of these 3 daughters. He's like lost, and he's grieving.
Yeah.
So he's like, we're gonna get really into squash. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna like all train a lot, and we're gonna be very intense, and basically he's just like, we're gonna train so much you can't even think about your grief.
Right, yeah.
Kind of a situation.
Yeah.
Which I respect a little bit as a concept. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like do something. Channel it. Channel something.
We're going to channel the grief into sport as opposed to some other way that it could come out. I think is interesting.
Yeah.
And so he starts doing that, and kind of what happens is that she really rises above her 2 sisters. They like squash, but they don't love squash, where she starts to like really love it and have a super, like an aptitude for it. She's really locked into it. And so that's what the book's about. And then basically partway through, there's a tournament that comes up, and she's going to like aim to go to this tournament.
Yeah.
Her first ever tournament. So I read the book, and I guess I literally, like, I didn't have the copy with me while I was in the passport office, as you all know. So I was just reading it on my phone. And so I didn't remember that she was 11. And the whole time that I was reading this, I was like, how old is she? Like, at times I was like, I think she's like 12. At times I was like, she's like gotta be 13, 14.
Yeah.
And then at times I thought she might be 15 or 16. So.
Oh my God.
I think that was interesting. I don't know if that was on purpose or not. I think maybe the writing was better than what you would what an 11-year-old could do.
Oh, okay.
So, if you know what I mean, and it's not in the first person. I mean, it is in the first person, but it's like remembering. She's like, I remember that this happened.
Oh,
and I remember that this
could
happened.
be her reflecting from an older age.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that she must be slightly older, remembering back on this time, but it didn't feel very childish. That's just a random aside. It was really good. I see why it was nominated for stuff, because it felt really poignant. I've got to say, this has got to be one of the saddest books I've read in a really long time. Like, it's just all of these people trying to hold it together.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Oh, that's
and
scary.
There's not really any point in the novel where people are screaming each other. There's not really a point where people are crying like crazy. There's not really a point where people are doing ridiculous things or over-the-top things where you're just like, I get that they're grieving, but this is a little over the top, Mr. Author, sir, or whatever, right? No, it's just people barely holding on, and it's fascinating because that's kind of that's like one of the horrifying things about grief, is that the next day you just wake up and your life is still your life. But in other ways, your life is not your life at all. Mm-hmm. And that's that horrifying mirror world that you're living in.
Yeah.
And that you just have to keep existing in. I think that's what she did so well. Like, you're like, this is not the same, but it's weirdly the same as before her mom died. It was very scary and so sad. Oh my God.
Sounds really good, though.
It was so good, and it was really well written. There was multiple sentences where I was like, damn, that was gorgeous. Like, that was gorgeous, or that was beautiful, that was really great. And I was reading about the author, Chetna Maru. She was an accountant for years.
Amazing.
And then now she's an author, which I think is just really cool. And I kind of feel like, in a way, she feels like a normal person that wrote an amazing book. Yeah. Like, I feel like that's why she was able to really get in touch with these characters so well. Mm-hmm. Because, I don't know, she just, it was really cool. And also, it's about, like, this family that has very different culture than mine. It's set in England. It's a British... I think it's British. Well, the author lives in London. I mean, it's a UK book for sure. But they're also culturally very different from my culture. So it was cool to get to read about that and their food and the, like, other practices that they do. So that was really neat. So it was beautiful. It was such a great book. I think I'm hovering at, like, around a 4-ish kind of a stars, because I think that it was excellent, and I don't usually bring up the star rating, but I just feel like it is useful right in this context. It felt like such a great book. I can't really fault it on anything. Like, there was nothing that I thought went wrong. I thought it was beautiful. It was perfect. For what it was perfect. But for some reason, I just didn't feel like I got to the end of it, and I didn't feel like really recommending it to people. Like, I'm not, like, I will, in certain, if people
but it wasn't like a spread it to the, to the people. Yeah. Like, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm, like, in that 4 range. And it didn't, like, resonate with me specifically, in a way where I'm just like, wow, this hit me at the right time.
Yeah.
Kind of, I don't know. So... I'm glad I read it, though. It was a really cool book, and it was also really cool to read about squash.
Yeah, that's a new one. I have not read about that.
I haven't read about that either, so that was neat. I finished that, and now what I'm currently reading is mainly the Agatha Christie biography. I only have 2 hours left. It's
oh my gosh.
It's a 14-hour, like, nearly a 15-hour thing.
Yeah.
So I'm, like, so 2 hours is still, like, a lot, I guess, but it feels to me like I'm right at the edge finally.
You're close, yeah.
It's been so good. I've just loved it so much. But then I also have brought with me the Union of Synchronized Swimmers and Poetry Creek Journal. One is about running, one is about synchronized swimming. And I want to read those 2 more. And I have read 3 more sports books this year I think would be really fun. And they're also really short, so they'd be very helpful to my goal.
Absolutely. Well, first, I just want to say I'm very proud of you for, like, sticking with your long biography. Like, that could have easily fallen by the wayside. But you keep reading it. That must mean you're really loving it. Like, I think that's a testament to how good the book is.
I'm obsessed with it. I think it's so great. And the author, Lucy Worsley, is so phenomenal. She's so into it. Like, she's just so enthusiastic about Agatha Christie's life.
Yeah.
And about sharing it with me. I'm just, like, obsessed. Like, I'm obsessed with Agatha Christie, but I'm also obsessed with Lucy Worsley. So
right, and it's been
a lot of fun.
She's written a Jane Austen one too, right?
Which I also own, so I think that might be next. I've already borrowed it from the library.
Well, there you go. Heard it here first, folks.
All right, so you purchased a book, am I right?
Yes, it's actually kind of funny. This is a book that I purchased quite a while ago, but the bookstore I ordered it from had to, like, special order it from some weird supplier that they don't order from very often, and so I think it took, like, probably 2 months before they actually were able to submit the order, and I kind of forgot about it, quite frankly.
Okay.
And so it was very exciting when it finally showed up. This is a book that's been on my radar for a while, but it was like, I think it might be out of print, and it's, like, very impossible to find. But, which is weird, because it came out in 2021. Like, it's not even an old book. But anyway, the book is called Crossing the Line, A Fearless Team of Brothers and the Sport That Changed Their Lives Forever by Kareem Rosser. So this is a memoir that's about horseback riding, but also polo. Like, it's more specifically about this group of these brothers who kind of fall into the sport of playing polo. They just, like, I'll just read the first paragraph on the back here because it kind of tells you everything you need to know. Born and raised in West Philadelphia, Kareem thought he and his siblings would always be stuck in the bottom, a community and neighborhood devastated by poverty and violence. Riding their bicycles through Philly's Fairmount Park, Kareem's brothers discover a barn full of horses. Noticing the brothers' fascination with their misfit animals, Leslie Heiner, founder of the Work to Ride stables, offers them their escape, an after-school job in exchange for riding lessons. And then that kind of, like, grows into a love for horses and horseback riding, and then they all start playing polo. And I'm like, that is so intriguing to me, because obviously I love memoirs. I'm also into sports stuff. I'm also into kind of, like, weird topics, like people falling into strange things, and I feel like just randomly getting into polo is so odd, but I'm so into it. And yeah, I'm very excited to read that. One of these days, whenever I get to it.
That's really cool. I'm glad that they found it for you.
Yeah, like, I don't know why it's so impossible to find, but I discovered it, like, just browsing for books online one time, a year ago or something, and was like, oh, I'll just keep an eye out for that book in case I ever see it. And of course I never did. And then I was like, can you please order this book for me? Like, I've given up. I just want the book. And they were like, oh, yeah, it's available from this discount supplier. It'll just take a few months to get here. And I was like, okay, no problem. So it was like half price. Perfect. I just had to wait like 3 months to get it. And now I have it. So it's all good.
That's really fun. Well, we've done it. We've talked about books. Shall we take a visit to the mailroom?
Oh, of course.
All right, I pulled 2 comments from the YouTube comments that I thought were... are they funny? I don't know. They're just about glasses. The people have a lot to say about glasses.
Yeah, I saw that.
So this first one is from Miriam, who says, guys, you forgot the most inconvenient thing about wearing glasses. It's looking for your glasses while blind. I never learn, and I always leave them in random places, and then I look for them for ages. Sometimes I even end up putting my prescription sunglasses on inside the house to help me.
Oh, that's funny. That's not really a problem that I have, actually. I keep my glasses in a drawer, in a specific drawer, and every morning I choose which ones I want to put on.
Right.
And then I put them on. And I only take them off if I'm, like, reading. And I always remember to put them back on before I get up and move around again.
Right.
So that's... I'm worse about losing my phone. Like, I always put down my phone and just walk away. And then sometimes it'll be underneath a blanket. And I'm like, I don't know where it is. But yeah, I don't have a problem with glasses.
I never take off my glasses. Like, I wake up, they're on my bedside table, I put them on.
Yeah.
And then I'm like... And then I would never take them off because my vision is always better with them on.
Yeah.
So even when I'm reading, because I have astigmatism, even when I'm reading, I find that my vision is clear with my glasses on.
Yeah.
And I really don't like the feeling of like reading, and that's fine. Like I can read without my glasses if I wanted to, but I'm reading and then I look up at something and then I can't see that very well. I want to see everything clear all of the time.
I don't mind a little bit of blur. I'm like, you know what? I understand that. I understand what's happening generally. I don't need it to be sharp.
Yeah.
And actually, a few weeks ago when we went to Vancouver and we walked around the seawall, it was so sunny that I was like, I have to wear sunglasses today. So I was wearing sunglasses and I could not see.
Yes.
So Kyle kept pointing things. He's like, whoa, look at that bird. And I'm like, I can't see that bird. And he'd be like, oh, look at that boat. It's huge. And I'm like, I can see a shape, but I see no boat. It was kind of funny. It was a funny day.
Yeah, I want to see everything as much as I can at all times. So I never take my glasses off, and then I get to bed at night and I take them off and I go to sleep and I wake up and I put them right back on. So I don't ever, it's very rare that I lose my glasses. It has happened for sure though, where I just like, I'm like gonna shower and I put them down somewhere and then I'm like, what the?
Where did they go?
I can't see. Okay, this next comment comes from Hugo Marianne, and it says, recently my glasses broke for no apparent reason. Like, they were on my face, and then one of the glasses popped out of the frame.
Oh my god.
Problem was, I was parked at a rest area on the highway alone. So I had to drive for an hour with a freaking monocle.
Oh, that's amazing.
Holding the frame with one hand. I was terrified.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that would be pretty... I love the idea of a monocle. I always used to think it would be so funny to have a monocle as a kid. I would always pretend to have a monocle. If I ever had something that was circular, I would try and hold it into my eye like a monocle.
That comment really cracked me up.
That's really so funny. That's hysterical.
All right, what did you find?
Well, okay, I've got another one about glasses too. I got a couple from our Patreon. Laura says, I'm visually impaired and have had so many different glasses. I think it's called photochromic glasses in English, which go dark with UV light outside and clear again inside. And I wanted to just like briefly talk about transition lenses.
Yes.
Yeah, like because you know that's what we're here for, to just talk about glasses. Yeah, transition lenses are interesting. They're basically sunglasses when you're outside, and when you go inside, they turn back to normal glasses. I'm not a fan of those personally. I don't like that vibe. I don't want to walk inside and have partial sunglasses on. I don't know. There's something about that really bugs me.
It would be different if it was like snap.
Yeah, like you just
glasses.
ready
snap.
to go.
sunglasses. Like, if it was actually really delineated.
Yeah.
But what I have found, and I've never had them, but what I've found from my friends who have had them is that they're sitting inside for an hour and they're still fading back to clear. And then they're outside and they're fading back. I find that, like, and if you're in a sunny room indoors, your glasses are confused.
Exactly.
So
I don't want that.
Dark.
I'm just not interested in that for myself. But they are cool, like, if that's something that's good for you. And then Carla says, I remember seeing individual leaves on a tree instead of one giant blob of green after first wearing contacts. Wow. Yeah, that's the best. That's for me. Every time I would get my prescription updated, or one time I put contacts in, I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, it does feel magical when you're, like, not used to it. Oh, wait, I have another one about glasses. I lied. Sandra says, for me, it was exactly like Raylene. I love my glasses, and it felt like sort of a certified reader pin to finally get them. You know, like, I fully agree with that. I felt like I had joined the club finally when I was able to get my glasses, which was so great. And then I've got a comment here from Meg, who has shared a photo. She just said, a little haul. But the two books that she got are the Anne of Green Gables graphic novel by Brenna Thumbler, which is so great. And then a book called Men Have Called Her Crazy by Anna Marie Tendler, which is possibly the book I want the most right now. So I just wanted to share how jealous I am that Meg has it. And actually, this is kind of like potentially a prequel to next week's episode. Like, we are planning to go to Vancouver. It's my vacation. Yes. So I may buy some books. So that's just something to consider as we move into the next episode.
I'm going to Toronto, so I wonder if I will buy some books.
Because the other problem is, you bought some books recently that you told me about off camera, and so I know some things, and now I kind of want all of the books that you bought. So we're gonna see what happens next week. I'm being influenced. I'm following my heart by being influenced by you. The last comment I wanted to share was from Selena, who said, "I just unhauled 6 books from my shelves. More space for the books I buy on vacation," which feels like a perfect comment to end on. Because that's so true. I'm actually going to go do a little bit of a skim through my bookshelves because my TBR is still over 100. And I'm like, I want it to be under 100. And I think that I can maybe make that happen this week. And especially if I got to make room for new books. So, yeah. That's what I'm going to go do.
I love it. Well, thank you, everyone who leaves us a comment on any of our platforms. We're so grateful to you for participating in the Books Unbound universe here.
Cinematic universe.
And cinematic universe and literary universe. Thank you to all of our patrons. We are now going to go record our Patreon mini podcast, the Question Buzz, where we answer your questions. And you know what?
That's the story.
That's all I have to say this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.
Bye.